Hi everyone. I made this video just to show you this new build on Spiritborn Rushing Claw in Season 8 for Diablo 4. Um, it's quite a fun build where you basically dash across the mobs, just slicing them in half. And this build makes use of the Rushing Claw skill node where you use maximum charges. So it starts at 12, but as you can see, I've got 18 here because you can temper additional rushing claw charges onto your gear, which gives you a massive damage boost. And there's a passive that the Spiritborn has, which allows you to get free casts of your rushing claw after you use your ulti skill. So that's basically the fundamentals um, of how the thing works. I'll go into a bit more detail now to show you, but you can see this is a Rough 50. I'm clearing it quite easily. Uh, I'm not even dying once. Uh, and you can see here, I haven't even upgraded my gloves to 45, so there's still potential for this build to go even stronger. Yeah, so now to get into the specifics of the build, um, first of all, let me just explain what I was saying earlier. So you can see the charges I have here, it's 18. Um, so that's higher than the 12 you initially get. That's because on my amulet, I've tempered additional rushing claw charges. Um, you can also get these as a temper for your boots. I need these boots for the resistances, but if you can resolve your resistances in another way, then you can use legendary boots and temper additional rushing claw charges on them to get even more damage. So yeah, so that's how we increase the rushing claw charges. And yeah, as I said, we're using this node that will consume all of the charges to do multiplicative damage based on the number of charges. Uh, multiplicative, multiplicatively increased damage based on the number of charges. So the drawback of this build was that after you use Rushing Claw, all your charges are gone, and then you must wait I don't know how many seconds before you get your next Rushing Claw use. So this can be overcome through a passive at the bottom here called Intricacy. So this triggers every time you cast an ultimate skill, and then when it triggers, you get 3 free casts on your last used potency, defensive, or focus skill. So this rushing claw uh, is classified as it's classified as a potency skill. So it would trigger here. And the ultimate we use to trigger it is called the Hunter. That's because it's easy to reset the cooldown of this and get more uh, activations of intricacy. And you can see the cooldown is 9.23 seconds already. Um, and that's because of this unique helmet that reduces your cooldowns as long as your Spirit Hall choices match. So you can see Spirit Hall, both are Jaguar. So that triggers the 60% cooldown reduction on this helm, which is pretty significant. You can see all of my spells are quite low cooldown. Um, Let me not get too much into the gear. I just wanted to explain a few more things on the skill tree. Um, yeah, so that's how you increase rushing claw charges. That's how you get free casts of it. The ultimate, we're using Prodigy's Tempo for the increased cooldown reduction. Um, you can trigger the basic skill as well, but yeah, I don't worry too much about it. If you're very serious and you want to keep it buffed all the time, you can make sure to do that. But yeah, it's not a trade smash if you don't. That's basically the main um, skills and interactions. There's also one more interaction with Swift, which says your mobility skill cooldowns are reduced up to 3 seconds based on how far you travel with it. So you can see my rushing claw has very low cooldown, 5.74 seconds. But you'll see if I do a rushing claw now, that will reduce by 3 seconds. So if I do it at max range, you see it jumped from 6 down to 2 or 3. So, I mean, if you are able to get, what is it always got there? If you are able to get increased ranks here, I think you can get this on your boots, but you would sacrifice rushing claw charges. It's up to you really what you want. What do you want? Uh, if you get this 3 ranks, then the cooldown will be 6 seconds, and you basically have free casts with maximum charges each time. Um, yeah, so that's that. Then on the gear, um, yeah, the gear. So on the gear, you'll see the weapon we're using is the sustained war crozier. So this allows us to buff potency skills. Each time we cast a focus skill, we get a buff on the potency skill, and that buff lasts for 8 seconds. So you can refresh it by casting another focus skill. So you'll see the buff here. If I activate this, you'll see the buff 23% per stack. So now I've got 2 stacks. Now I've got 3 stacks. Let me just move the mouse cursor. Now I've got 4 stacks. And you know, as you're fighting, you'll be able to refresh this, get this buff to 10 stacks very quickly. 10 stacks is the maximum. Yeah, after I think by your first pack you'll get maximum stacks already, if not the second pack um, of mobs. So you can see 10 stacks there, and as long as you keep, you don't want to use all of them at the same time, because then they all go on cooldown at the same time. You want to maybe stagger them, probably use your highest cooldown. So it's ordered on my bar, so the lowest cooldown, second lowest cooldown, second highest cooldown, and then the highest cooldown. So you want to probably stagger them, use the longest cooldown first, then use the second, and the third, and then by the time you use that, this will be up again. So you can rotate it like that, just to make sure that you keep this buff up at maximum stacks as you go from one pack to the next. Then there's another buff in damage you can get with resolve stacks. So here it's called kinetic suppression, this aspect. So every time you do a non-basic mobility, excuse me, every time you do a non-basic mobility skill, you get 7 free resolve stacks, um, which is required for this aspect, the interdiction aspect, which gives you 10% block chance per resolve stack. So just by doing one rushing claw, you get 7 resolve stacks. So I've already got it here. Okay, so I can't show you, but yeah, if you do one, you'll get your 8 resolve stacks up, which will give you, using interdictions aspect, you'll get 70% block chance for the 7 resolve stacks, and then your quarter staff has 45% inherit. So combined, you'll cap your block chance at 100%. So yeah, so that's where the resolve stacks help you. And why do we want block chance? So that's because there's an aspect called redirected force, which gives you increased critical strike damage based on a percentage of your block chance. You want to get this close to 100 as possible. And then if you block, it gives you double damage basically if you crit, and if you block, then you get triple damage. So it's quite a significant damage buff. So that's why we have the block chance and the resolve stack. And there's another use of the resolve stacks through potent exchange. So each time you use a potency skill, it consumes two resolve stacks to deal 45% increased damage. Um, so every time you use Rushing Claw, you get 7 resolve stacks. So using 2 from there leaves you with a net of 5. Uh, and I mean, in 2 casts, you basically cap your resolve stacks and gain the benefit of damage reduction and damage buff if you're using the glyph as well. And then on my rings, I've got the unyielding hits. So that's why I've got this punching thing here, Rock Splitter. So if I just punch the mob, I get the buff armor converted to damage, see? Which is a pretty significant damage buff uh, based on your armor. So like a quarter of your armor becomes added to your weapon damage, which is pretty significant. And, and then the last aspect is the new aspect for the season. Rushing Claw deals multiplicative damage increase. Based on the number of charges, you get these additional effects. So because we have so many charges and we can use them at max charges most of the time, we will always be getting the fourth benefit, which is strikes an additional time. And I mean, also this quarter stuff can deal double damage as well. So there's a lot of double strikes and double damages you can trigger with this build. Yeah, so that's basically the aspects. Then on Paragon Tree, um, I started with the Hone glyph, which gives me multiplicative, um, gives me increased critical strike chance and multiplicative damage if I get it to 45, which I should do soon. Then my other glyph is Spirit, which gives me multiplicative critical strike damage. Once I get it to 45, there's another multiplicative damage boost there. And oh shucks, I didn't take this. Okay, so there's another damage boost I could get here. The mistake I made. And yeah, I need to fix that. And that one's called Drive. Because you're using Rushing Claw, you can ramp this up pretty easily to 10 stacks. And what's this? This is Colossal. So remember, we're getting the free resolve stacks every time we do Rushing Claw. So this is another multiplicative damage boost here. And the legendary node I took is Viscous Shield. Um, that gives us multiplicative damage boost based on barrier. So you can trigger your barrier using the rune Moni Q I used. So every time I use 2 mobility skills, I get offering, and that triggers my. And remember, Rushing Claw is a mobility skill. So each time I use Rushing Claw, I'll trigger all the mobility skill benefits. So even this aspect, remember, it says non-basic mobility skill. So Rushing Claw mobility skill gives me resolve stacks and gives me barrier as well, which triggers my viscous shield buff. The other rune I'm using is Zanzek. So each time I use an because we're using ultimate skills to trigger the intricacy passive all the time, um, I, I, I use this rune to reduce the cooldown even further by 1.5 seconds. So each time I use my ultimate, it cuts the cooldown by 1.5 seconds. So yeah, so as you were saying on the Paragon tree, where was I? So Viscous Shield, yeah. And Colossal, yeah. So the next one is Convergence. So remember on my boots, I've got increased non-physical damage. So that works for this Paragon node. Gosh, why did I do this again? So Yeah, so that helps this node to maximize the damage boost. So it's a 30% damage boost to my to my rushing claw. The glyph here is just the headhunter, so 10% multiplicative boost to damage against elites, and another 5% once I get it to 45. The last one I'm using is sapping. So just by using 3 rushing claws in a row, you trigger a 30% damage, multiplicative damage boost. And I need to fill one more node here once I level up more. And then lastly, just to show you how to play this build. So first of all, remember the unyielding hits. So that is a earth skill, so that's my basic. So that triggers that. Then to trigger your intricacy, remember that you need to first use Rushing Claw and then use your ulti, which gives you 3 free casts in the next 7 seconds. Remember to use your buffs for gorilla skills. Yeah, so I buff, I use Rushing Claw, I use Ultimate, and then I get 3 free charges, 3 free uses of Rushing Claw. Obviously, as you use it more, the damage will scale higher and higher. So, a Vortex, that's very good for pulling all of the mobs in. So you'll see on my gear as well, I've got increased vortex size, increased vortex size. I mean, you can probably use barrier generation as well. Yeah, I haven't quite figured that out as yet, but yeah, um, lots of options. So let's just do a playthrough where we maximize the stacks on our weapons. So we can start with this guy, that guy, and then Rushing Claw, use this, Vortex everyone in, get that, remember to keep the buff up all the time. Yeah, so you can see I'm on 6 stacks now, 7 stacks, I'm just trying to get the stacks up to 10, so you can see what damage we end up with. Let's do that. Yeah, we're now on 10 stacks, so 27 million. It can go higher if you trigger all the other buffs. Yeah, I mean your Paragon buffs as well. So yeah, that's how you play the build. It's a very fun build because you're just dashing across the mobs, just slicing them, and you're so fast. Yeah, it's just a very fun build. I hope uh, you guys can find it fun and useful as well, and hope you guys enjoy season 8. Yeah, thanks. Goodbye.